Hello, welcome. This is going to be a Lionsgate reading. We've been talking a lot about it in the daily Dharmas, and now I've decided to just do a full reading to ask Spirit to bring forth any energies that are specifically regarding the Lionsgate portal now. So, at the time of this broadcast, we're only about 4 days from the 8-8 portal. We've been talking a lot about it. We've already done the daily Dharma for today. I'm looking for something else to come through. We've got 2 Tao Te Ching messages coming through. 19 and 67. 19 says, "Throw away holiness and wisdom and people will be 100 times happier. Throw away morality and justice and people will do the right thing. Throw away industry and profit and there won't be any thieves. If these 3 aren't enough, just stay at the center of the circle and let all things take their course." And I saw 111 at the time of that. So, yeah, there's no right way to go about it, no script that we must follow. Each one of us has to tune into our own soul resonance for our unique mission. Might be the wrong word, but the elements of your own path that need to be looked at and resolved and integrated into your path will be different from the next person and the next. But overall, generally, we're dealing with self-love, non-judgment, opening up ourselves to embodiment of more and more and more light so that our light quotient can reach a certain level that will bring us up into the higher vibrational resonance that is our I want to say birthright. Some say that my teaching is nonsense. Others call it lofty but impractical. But to those who have looked inside themselves, this nonsense makes perfect sense. And to those who put it into practice, this loftiness has roots that go deep. I have just 3 things to teach. There's that 3 and 3. Simplicity, patience, and compassion. These 3 are your greatest treasures. Simple in actions and in thoughts, you return to the source of being. Patient with both friends and enemies, you accord with the way things are. Compassionate towards yourself, you reconcile all beings in the world. Very nice. So, if these 3 aren't enough, this throwing away holiness and wisdom is, and morality, justice, and industry and profit are juxtaposed, contrasted with simplicity, patience, and compassion. Under the deck is 10. Can you coax your mind from its wandering and keep to the original oneness? Can you let your body become supple as a newborn child's? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but light? Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events take their course? Can you step back from your own mind and thus understand all things, giving birth and nourishing, having without possessing, acting with no expectations, leading and not trying to control? This is the supreme virtue. So from there, let's go to the code cards next, and then we'll do the shamanic deck. We saw compassion under the deck. The supreme virtue, and then we're saying over here to throw away all this morality, justice, holiness, and wisdom. It's like false morality. I see many people like, oh, well, money is the root of all evil, and materialism means that somebody isn't evolved or isn't conscious. But these are all just perceptions. Money is another form of energy, and I believe that there is an inner struggle for many where they're either on the path of materialism and earnings and putting themselves out into the social world for approval or rejection and trying to walk that narrow path of othering, contending with the outer environment, working at jobs where they have to subjugate their authenticity to earn that paycheck. And then there's those that are on the other end of that. Everything just kind of dipped out of my mind. We've got 2 stacks of cards showing themselves. The first one is root chakra, conception, and perception. So the obvious here is that this root chakra is abundance or scarcity mentality, the way that we perceive our place and our place in the world, our place in the cosmos even, where this is how we allow life to illuminate towards us, what we're putting into reality. Where are we putting our focus? And wherever we put that focus, what do we believe in? Even though beliefs is the 7th chakra, follow me here. Root chakra is like what becomes of the inner landscape is indistinguishable from the beliefs. It's the above and the below mixing inside of the self to conceive of the perception. And so limitation and scarcity mindset is like, I can or I can't do this thing based on my belief pattern or perception of the limitations imposed upon me from the outer environment or from others. And then we have the second stack coming through with miracle, divine masculine, and tantric journey. So there's a miraculous breakthrough in perception that's able to be unlocked here by taking new actions, by believing in our actions, not second guessing, and rededicating ourselves to that inner journey. Because tantric journey to me is all about the inward journey, and the masculine is about reaching out. And perception is the internal as well. So it's moving away from the perception of limitations and having this miraculous breakthrough of believing in our capacity and our capabilities and our skills and in our voice, in whatever it is. Underneath the deck, we have belief. Thank you, Spirit, for that confirmation. So I'd like to read one of the messages from this combined deck. This is the Kuan Yin Oracle deck and the Kali Oracle deck, both by Alana Fairchild. Gorgeous information coming through here. Yeah, belief in our own power and to be able to conceive of a new reality. We're standing right at the precipice of change here, and it's like by simple, as if it is simple to change our minds and belief patterns, but by allowing ourselves to conceive of a new way of being, to give ourselves permission to act out of our previous rut, I want to say. It's like the ingrained pattern becomes a rut in the road. Like, for whatever reason, I'm seeing the folds in the brain, and the folds, how it has the wrinkle, the rut, the inclusion point. There's something there about that. what I know is that the more folds you have, the more evolved the brain is said to be. It's something about, we have belief, perception, and conception here, all to me speak about the brain. And it's like, also, okay, with root chakra, having the resources, the support, or the knowledge to see through something that we couldn't see through before. It's like, I have this early memory of being short and then a child, and then suddenly being able to reach the faucet in the bathroom, to be able to do it without a stool. I could finally see over and reach. Maybe it was on tippy toes at first, but it's sort of that idea of being the child that can suddenly do something for themselves. And it's this moment of pride and accomplishment that's happening. It seems like a miracle, but it's inevitable to grow in many different ways, right? And of course, not everybody gets to be tall, but there's something here about maturing or growing in some type of a way where now you're able to see beyond a limitation. We've been going over this message here and there. The rivers that go downstream to connect with the whole, the fold, connecting with the fold, being folded into a group. So you may be moving environments, moving jobs, moving relationships, some type of movement over this year or the last several years that seems to be culminating now. We do have the 11, 22, and the 33 out, all three master numbers, which is interesting. It's the belief in miracles, the belief that we are creating miracles in our life. There we go. And being able to really base our perceptions from that stepping off point, feeling the security of potentialities beneath our feet, understanding that everything is possible, but what potentials are reasonably expected, they're limited by the belief patterning. And I'm interested now to research the brain, but I do believe there's two main things coming up for me before I pick up these Kali cards here on the deck, or on the desk, that are upside down. There are two things. So I do believe that the brain can continue to grow and continue to create new folds with new experiences. And every time that we stretch the mind and open the mind, like the perceiving of enemies, or was that in this readings? The difference between enemy and friend, I believe here. When we open our mind to compassion, into the flow and flux of whatever is coming into our awareness here, we're stretching the mind and we're refolding the mind, and we're creating wisdom from perceptions, or we can also create imagination for the good and for the bad. We can build on the suspicious mind if we're not grounded and and having that secure place that we're stepping off from. If we're based in insecurity, we're going to only conceive things, we're going to impregnate the mind and the soul, not soul, but the moment, the interaction, wherever you're at, the environment even. Like, think about those people who can't hold a job, and every time that they leave a job, there's a big excuse. Oh, the boss didn't like me. People always wanted me to do something wrong, or it was this. There was no respect. There wasn't enough money. I couldn't have done anything there. I was limited. They wanted me to do something I couldn't do. And then ultimately, then it looks bad on their resume, and so then they don't get the good job. They keep getting the crappy jobs. So in the mind of this individual, it's a pattern that's happening outwardly to them, but they're co-creating it by their either lack of discipline or failure to look into themselves to recognize, well, why do I keep applying to jobs that don't utilize the skills or interests that I hold for interest? Or for example, same thing with partners. If you believe that women all want to manipulate the male through their attachment bonding with sexuality, or if the women believe that men only want to manipulate them through objectifying and buying their affections, these are perceptions that reconceive this habit pattern over and over again. And the miracle here is that the inner security has shifted. The inner alchemy has shifted, creating miracles. And so if you are placed in a new situation and fearing the worst, fearing the cycle, before you abandon ship, like you may have done in the past, giving up at that initial point of tension and saying, oh, well, I don't deserve this. Well, if you don't deserve that, if you just abandon it and keep moving forward, you'll re-attract it, because if you don't deserve it, it's easy to move away from. It's difficult to stand your ground and to compassionately self-advocate for your skills, your resources, and the value that you bring to the table that others may be overlooking. You know, if everybody's out there and building a wall and you're over here sorting rocks, then maybe you could say something about, well, you know, maybe you've already built walls before and you just passively say, you know, you guys are doing a great job, but in the past when I've built walls, I've noticed that it could underscore, overscore, or something like this. It can tilt and lean if it's not properly stacked and whatever, or reinforced, or something like this, right? These examples. Or if somebody's doing something, you see them misstepping, instead of remaining quiet, or instead of being like, oh, you don't know what you're doing, which creates a barrier to connectivity, then offering up, oh, I see what you're doing here. Do you mind if I help? Do you mind if I serve? Do you mind if I tell you that I might have something to add here? And not everybody is going to be receptive to that, but once you try and you don't take it personally, they're not doing it to you. You're just a face in the crowd for many situations in your past. Once we take that that one of the 4 agreements, if you've read that book or followed those ideologies, is don't take anything so personally. And people are acting out of their own perceptions and things that their fears and anxieties are dictating. So there's a miracle breakthrough here on the table by reaching out in a new way. The frequency of divine masculine supports our strong, focused, and active side, allowing it to express itself while helping us to bring our dreams and ideas into form with kindness and wisdom. So resentment blocks this. Taking it personally creates resentment and bitterness. Thinking that others are acting against yourself creates frustrations, bitterness, and betrayal. So what are we being told? Okay, and then we have under the deck number 40, Yin Empress. That's the divine feminine showing herself here. What makes you special and unique? What skills do you bring to the table? What would make you excited? And if you perceive that somebody is being untruthful, do you ask for clarity or do you accuse? These are accusations can make this person retreat further and feel like they need to create more smoke and mirrors so that they don't get attacked. Where questioning done in the right way can bring an entirely different result. We have 15 Mahavidya. Interesting. Number 40, which mimics the Yin Empress over here. Mantra Shakti. Affirmations is what I'm feeling with that. Affirming yourself. Affirming where you're going and what you're doing and what you bring to the table. If you feel like you deserve more and that you're a beautiful blessing in the situation or in this situation, then you're going to affirm your value and you're going to raise that value up in the face of anything that would contradict that. 2222 on the timer. And then Blossoms of the Sky Dancer, number 3. And I see her as an illuminated being, just kind of, I want to say emerging, but she's looking sideways. There's something with that. Let me just take this in a moment. I'm feeling she's moving away from something. So for some of you, there will be an environment that has not been conducive to your highest expression that you've maybe been dealing with for some time. And there may have been some disrespect here, somebody speaking against you, or even yourself having spoken against yourself in these ways with the affirmations coming here next. But there's this, we've got moon, lotus, meditation beads, the sickle sword, and a severed tongue. So it's like taking the words out of somebody's mouth, taking your power back in a situation and using your words in a more positive, affirming way. And instead of just abandoning ship, speaking about what those feelings that have been evoked by whatever. It's like not speaking to someone and then taking your time to meditate and to get your bearings back before reacting. Like if you mistake something that your boss did, your boss is having a crappy day and they ignore you or don't listen when you're like, I've already done this before or something, and then you allow their distraction that doesn't even belong to you. It's not they're dismissing you, but they're just distracted maybe. Then allowing that to just steal all of your thunder and put you into that space of, see, I'm a failure, they're never going, or if I'm a success, then this person is never going to invest in me. It's like don't let things get out of hand in that way, and to steal your voice or your potential, because sometimes the most challenging situations that arise are there so that we can reclaim that power back into ourselves. And I'm seeing that it's like, don't allow that to keep you quiet. You can continue to try at one thing. Let's just take the job example. You can continue to try to be seen as someone who does know, who does a great job, who does the task with some semblance of gratitude and pride in your work, and wait to be noticed, but continue to speak in positive affirmation of yourself and for yourself with others. And don't fall into, oh, I know that I may not have this college degree, but I really like doing this. Don't focus on what you don't bring to the table. Don't lose sight of the skills. Approach it with, what can you add to the situation? What do you bring to the table? What can you share? Whether it's wisdom, whether it's a friendly demeanor, whether it's just helping to support others. There are many functions in niches within a group dynamic or within a relationship dynamic. So it's something about not being sequestered and pushed into a corner, into a role, into something that doesn't suit you, or like your parents or early authority figures dictating your path. There's a time here of standing apart from the crowd and standing up to the inner saboteur that would tell us, oh, you'll never get it, you'll never be there. Yeah, Garden of Venus, rest and renewal coming in here. There's a need to sit down with yourself and really itemize to yourself everything you bring to the table, instead of the misgivings you have about what you're supposedly lacking, because you are more than enough. Detox, repairing body, mind, and spirit. Look at her taking that little bubble bath. And we have some magical things appearing in these bubbles. Some of them look like little trolls, some look like cute little things, and other things look like material, inanimate objects which are somewhat having a life of their own. It's like the things in your environment, in your life, have somewhat taken precedence over your rebalancing time, and there's a need to purge and release any toxins, any residues, any faulty self-beliefs, and to reclaim your security within yourself, within your sacred space, to cleanse and clear your environment, literally, the places that you frequent, your car, your home, your cubicle if you're at a job, and definitely the mental clutter. Earth. There's something here about breaking through a mold. It's like not being seen for who you are, but it's almost like emerging from the image that was cast upon you, the role that was cast upon you, has been somewhat solidified and dry like a desert, and there's this need for the watery realms to rehydrate the earth. Many masks and the authentic self. Yeah, one more here. The Time Master. There's this thought of, shouldn't we be there by now? Like the child in the car that's like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? And there's a couple things coming through. So with the many masks card in this earth, I'm feeling like this is the mask that's been worn, like showing up day after day, doing what needs to be done, showing up for your kids, for your coworkers, for your friends and family, and ultimately forgetting maybe to show up for yourself in this cleansing and clearing. Like, you are not here only to serve others. You're here to serve the entirety of everything. And at the center of that, at the center of your world, is always you. No matter how humble and unimportant you seem to be in the macrocosm of the universe, the Tao Te Ching messages here are talking about the power that lies within the self to change the entire collective, to change the entire cosmic flux and flow. All we need to do is to fully integrate with the inner self. To shift the self is profound enough to shift everything that dances around us. I'm seeing also upper world is the next card in line. I'll go ahead and take that because the Time Master is looking directly at this upper world card. So creating heaven on earth is kind of how this seems to be with upper world and Garden of Venus, rest and renewal. So Time Master seems to be like, time and again this patterning has arisen, and we've allowed ourselves to hope that it wasn't true, but we've convinced ourselves that all of the evidence points to there's something going on, that it must be changed or wrong with the self, versus the individuals that are able to say, okay, there's nothing wrong, this is all divine redirection so that I can have these experiences, this accumulated wisdom emerging, and that it's time. I keep searching for another message, but it's definitely purging out inauthenticity. The authentic self is stepping forward. There's a point of having been taken in a specific way, this entrenched way, like this is the mold that everybody has decided that you are, and you've played that, but at the root, it's time for you to step out of that mold. There's a turning point here where the refusal of the call is the, I feel in this moment, it doesn't have to be some profound mission to serve or heal the collective and cosmos, like we're kind of aiming towards. It doesn't have to seem so miraculous. It lies within simplicity, compassion, and patience. Patience with time. And so the call is to listen to that subtle call of the heart space, the subtle call of the great mystery, the miracles that lie beyond the fear-based limitation, or the illusion that there's no solid ground for us to stand upon. When there is no ground, there is always the center. There is always the great mystery. And so when we feel at the bottom of the empty well, the only place to go is within. The only place to go is to seek the mystery within the self that says, why do I find myself at the bottom of the well? How did my inner reserves get to the point where I slid into this predicament? And how do I reemerge? And it comes back to the calling to be yourself, to seek and express that divinity that has a seed within the heart, the soul seed within the heart. Yes. Trauma bonding. whether it's a partnership cycle, a place of business, friends, colleagues. There's something here, or even with family, there's something here where there's been a pattern related to old suffering, old traumas that we have mistakenly become ingrained within this pattern, believing that the most attractive man is the alpha one who's highly sexualized and into competitive sports and grunts and drinks beer and itches in inappropriate spots, right? No, the feminine, maybe the trauma bond with the feminine is somebody who's very materialistic and wants somebody to just spoil her and give her all kinds of attention, and when that attention isn't there, she goes out and acts in a way to manipulate you to chase her. These are addictive patterns where the more that we buy into that and the more that we take the invitation to be attracted to things that are an ingrained pattern from the past, maybe some of those examples are a little too far off base because those things don't really mean as much. But there's some sort of pattern where maybe some people, here's another pattern that may emerge with relationships. The feminine that has been subjugated in her early experiences by control and power dynamics and being pushed into playing small may then have one of two dramatic responses and then the spectrum of gray area between, somewhere in between. The extreme polarity responses of the wounded feminine, the wounded masculine, are the wounded masculine jumps up and is ready to, I can do anything by myself. I don't need a man. I can open that jar by myself. I can build that roof. I know how to roof. I know how to do this. I can change my own tires, my own oil, and may even further emasculate the male, like, well, I'm better at this than you. And there's nothing you can do about it because blah, 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 the ball buster, right? Where then there's also the same experience might cause another to sequester her masculine essence and not reach out and really want a powerful mate that can save them and show them the way and find their keys when every place that they put it is a different place every day. It's like the irresponsible feminine who needs somebody to be her master, to show her the way. Be my shepherd, I'm just a sheep. So, and then the masculine can be the same way. So if we're either direction of the extreme, then we are going to attract the oppositional extreme. And in the illusion that everybody is like that, we can be really bonded to that. But the answer doesn't lie in having somebody who's stronger than you. Like one person makes the money and one person cooks the meals might work for one group of individuals, and it still might be quite equal partnership, even though there's some roles that have been taken on. But trauma bonding is being attracted to something, like let's say you've got the alcoholic parent that is addicted and sometimes is harsh and incapacitated, and we need to care for them. We need to cook all the meals and care for them and go and do this and that because, you know, they're drinking, or we just this, just that. And then from that point, then we recreate that in our adult relationships and feel there's this urge to attach to that to maybe fix this. It's like to gain the approval of, to gain the respect of someone from the distant past who could never respect you. And then recreating that with the relationships that you choose with somebody who doesn't respect you and doesn't pay attention to you and ultimately is not even on your wavelength, but still having that attachment. So there's a cutting free from this energy and taking that time and reinvesting it in the self. Intensity does not equal intimacy. So somebody's been repressed in their energy, and that may have caused them to become more introverted in their energy. But now I'm seeing that you're building your confidence, working on yourself. Healing, okay. What else can we hear? Okay, and that one was supposed to come out. Dark features, eyes, hair, or complexion may be describing somebody in this situation. You or the person you're dealing with. And yeah, so self-care pops out with Heyoka Empath. So the company that you keep, if you are a Heyoka Empath, the company you keep is the mirror that you are constantly responding from and to. It says, I don't want to lose myself again. Having declared sovereignty from these old situations by saying, well, I'm never going to be under someone's control again. I can do everything myself. But then in that aloofness, people don't feel needed or worthy to be around you, and they may find someone else who needs them more, right? So there's this gentle balance where we don't want to push people away because of the old patterns. So this wearing of masks, this Heyoka Empath is always being what other people demand of them instead of declaring what's right for them. And so pulling back your energy to work on yourself and to look into the mirror with those beautiful affirmations instead of looking at, like, let's say, this lump of a drunk on a couch, looking like everything that you can imagine. Who wants to be a Heyoka Empath and be the mirror for that? Who wants to be the mirror for an abuser? Who wants to take that into themselves and go cast that out into the world? Not anybody who's an empath. But we find ourselves in these situations because, again and again, because of habit patterns, we don't understand in the moment when we have abandoned the self until it's too late. And there's a need to get really back into that self-care and to rediscover the self and everything that makes you amazing. Does this align with your highest path? There's an overlooked opportunity here. Walking away, timeline jump, quantum leap, friend and professional zone, chemistry, Jupiter, cutting cords, release. Okay, just looking back here a little bit. Yeah, tread carefully. Your sense of self-worth makes you more attractive in the moment, and what else really? There's a lot of joy to getting back to basics with yourself and releasing the overthinking, your stress and nerves. And if there's somebody in your environment or something with the initials I, J, K, or L, 5555, this is changing something. You're going to need to tread very carefully at the full moon, which is coming up at the time of this broadcast. The next one is on August 11th, and that should be in the sign of is it going to be Aquarius. It should be Aquarius because the sun is still in Leo and it won't have moved that far yet. Yes, so it should be an Aquarius. And then we see Virgo under the deck here. Next 48 hours, I don't feel worthy. What would your best friends say? I feel you near me when we're miles apart. So there's some kind of Virgo energy here that's coming through, and yeah, Virgo is health and self-care for sure. And the more that you can connect with yourself at this time, the more healing that you do, the more you will be aligned with your highest path. So I do want to read just a little from the Alana Fairchild decks. These are so good. This Mahavidya card is really calling out to me, and so is the Mantra Shakti. So Mahavidya, she is unrestrained, unlimited, wild, and unconditional love. The heart knows how to attract grace and to manifest creative resolution where the mind sees only difficulties. A spiritual awakening of tremendous value is opening for you as your inner being reorients itself around the increasing inner light. Established structures built upon lesser foundations will have to give way. She demands the courageous embrace of experience. She is your call to initiation and growth, your invitation to embrace your path. Rise and greet your destiny. And this is already long, so I'm just going to read the beginning intro parts. And then the Mantra Shakti. Her voice creates and dissolves universes. Her vibration within our souls creates our life path. You have the sacred power of voice. How shall you express it to call for effective divine assistance in all ways? Do not allow negative thought or speech to undermine your inner spiritual connection. Claim your voice and your power to create. Listen for inner guidance and then set your course in motion. Though it may not yet be visible in your physical world, a new order is generating within the soul. In time, it shall manifest in transformed physical circumstances. Exactly, that root chakra there's this miracle transformation, and as simple as it is to have compassion and patience for yourself, for your path, and for others, and to move forward. So yeah, the Mantra Shakti is about invoking the feminine rising within yourself, that tough love of the feminine that chooses itself again and again. And then the Blossoms of the Sky Dancer, I'll just read that one here. Kuan Yin dances creative energy and light across the sky, causing blossoms to descend. In the same way, when we tap into our spiritual power of creation, we cause our life and all of life around us to bloom. Creation is a natural spiritual power within you, beloved. Force can slow down the process. It is time to stop striving and to allow your manifestation to occur. Trust, let go, allow your creation to flow. So maybe in the past it was all about trauma bond, and now you're faced with something that is perhaps a little different, and you are asking yourself, is this in alignment with everything that you are aligned with and ready to embrace on your path? The Yin Empress. The Yin Empress brings peace, prosperity, and success to her beloved devotees. Your soul purpose includes healing and empowerment of the divine feminine, the Yin Empress herself. You gain power, assistance, and untold blessings in following your soul purpose. You are lifted and supported in your sacred work now. So, yeah, you are being advised to really go back into the self, to cleanse and clear, and when you become clear and reemerge, there's this entire different stepping off point. Like doing something for yourself really creates this inner security, something that it doesn't belong to anyone else. And what were we saying up here? Can you cleanse your inner vision until you see nothing but the light? That is this, cleansing that inner vision. Can you love people and lead them without imposing your will upon them or even manipulating their will? Can you deal with the most vital matters by letting events just flow unto themselves? Can you step back from your mind and thus understand all things? Giving birth and nourishing, we have the conception card here. Having without possessing. It's not about the possessions and the evidence of our journey. It's about having the inner strength, the fortitude, the self-belief, the self-love. That's expansion, that's growth, and that is presence, and that is influence. Acting with no expectations upon other individuals because you're taking action in alignment with the inner self, in alignment with the cosmic flux, with your soul purpose, from a place of healing and clarity of mind, body, and spirit. Leading and not trying to control. This is the supreme virtue of this Yin Empress that is being birthed through you into this experience with the Lionsgate portal. So whether this takes the shape of some type of tension to be resolved in a situation, or a fear that crops up to be overcome or surpassed, some other type of challenge, some type of intervention, or somebody trying to interfere in the situation, don't let your imagination run wild. Don't let your fears of not being enough steal your dreams from your very mouth. Tell yourself the truth of the matter. I am sovereign. If this is not for me, I say all of this and better. So, yep, okay. Reclaiming your power. All right, that is what I have. Blessings for you and all of my best towards your healing journey at this time. And check back in tomorrow. We're going to do the all signs reading, or check out those if you're watching this further down the line. We do these every Friday where it's mini reads sign by sign in one reading. So you'll see it's like a 2-hour video, but it's really 5 to 15 minutes per sign. So take care, and we'll be back soon. Bye.